Hi, my name is Mike Horspool. I'm here with Diane Rundles and Denise Walker, and they will be presenting the Riverside County 2020 plan. This was derived from the findings of the Riverside County Strategic Workforce Plan. Denise Walker is from the Center for Government Excellence, where she's the division manager, and Diane Rundles led the team that developed the Strategic Workforce Plan for the county.
Well, thank you, Mike. Again, this is Denise Walker, and I have the pleasure of having oversight of the Center for Government Excellence. We are recording this session for you today because it was originally presented on June 18th to a group of department heads. You may have been invited to that presentation and may not have been able to attend, so we decided that we would go ahead and record it for you. This is a conversation really about the findings of the Strategic Workforce Plan, and what we're seeing are really three major economic, demographic, and technological shifts that are going to be so large that the magnitude is going to really represent the kind of change that is really unprecedented in the world, as you can see from this quote from Anthony Ling, the Chief Investment Officer at Goldman Sachs. And if we take a look at what those three areas are, first, economic, with 80% of the labor shortage being a skills shortage by 2020. We'll talk a little bit about that. Demographic, the changes in the U.S. workforce will definitely require a new approach to leadership, and with regard to technology and Web 2.0 and how that really changes the game. Now, each of these taken independently is significant in and of itself, but when we take these together, they really kind of represent the perfect storm, and we're going to see a shift that's so dramatic that it's really unprecedented and will change the workplace as we know it today. And that's part of the reason that we think it's very important for us as a county to begin looking at this and looking at what the impact is and preparing ourselves to be able to continue to provide excellent public service for our constituents in Riverside County. So Diane's going to be covering the economic and demographic sections, and I'm going to come back to you and cover the technological section. So at this point, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Diane Rundles.
Thanks so much, Denise. My name is Diane Rundles, and as Denise had mentioned, one of the major shifts that we're seeing has to do with the economy. She mentioned that by 2020, 80% of the labor shortage will be a skills shortage. That's going to have a significant impact on us as a county, and I'm going to go into that in a little more detail. The first prediction is that the Inland Empire population will increase by 200% in 2050, creating pressure on local government for services. According to the California Department of Finance Demographic Research Unit, the County of Riverside is projected to grow by 200% in the next 40 years. The majority of the growth will be experienced by the Hispanic population as they grow from being 32% of the population to about 52%. This little chart on the left shows what our population looks like now, and the chart on the right illustrates what the population will look like by 2020. And I just have a little video clip to give you some more information about what the state of California is going to look like in the next 10 to 20 years.
The state of California is facing a population crisis. New projections say California's population will jump 75% over the next 40 years. And Southern California's Riverside County can expect a population growth rate of more than 200%. Casey Wyan has a report.
Higher Hispanic birth rates, as well as legal and illegal immigration, will add more than 25 million people to California by the middle of this century. The state's Department of Finance projects California's population will grow to nearly 60 million by 2050, an increase of about 75%. The report foreshadows a looming crisis. California already faces water and power shortages, decaying infrastructure, education funding gaps, and a $92 billion debt. Urban planners say state officials need to wake up.
They've been asleep at the switch in past decades. We had a lot of growth before in the 80s, and they didn't do a whole lot to prepare for it. They were coasting on the infrastructure that was put in place in the 60s. That many people requires more roads, it requires more infrastructure, it requires more housing, and it also generates a lot more business opportunities too.
And major demographic and cultural shifts. Here's how California's population appeared in 2000. Whites 47%, Hispanics 32%, Asians 11%, and blacks 7%. Fast forward to 2050, and the state predicts Hispanics will make up more than half its population, whites only about a fourth. The percentage of Asians will increase slightly, while only 1 in 20 Californians will be black.
For Hispanics, almost 80% of the growth is due to natural increase or the excess of births over deaths, and it's just about the opposite for the Asians. Almost 80% of their growth is due to people moving to California either from other states or other countries.
Los Angeles County faces an even more dramatic projected shift. The white population shrinks to 1.6 million, while Hispanics swell to 8.4 million. Put another way, LA's Hispanic and Asian population is expected to double by 2050, while the number of whites and blacks will be cut in half. Hispanics will outnumber whites more than 5 to 1 in Los Angeles, 2 to 1 statewide. Some urban planners say that's a good thing, arguing aging baby boomers will benefit from higher Hispanic birth rates and immigration. Those young people will presumably help support boomers in retirement, from paying Social Security taxes to buying their homes. Casey Wyand, CNN, Los Angeles.
So the next prediction is the economy will slowly improve with the emergence of new industries, and we're really talking about Riverside County. And doing more with less is the new normal for local government. If you'd like, on your own, if you want to take a look at this video clip, it's the 2011 Economic Outlook by Goldman Sachs. There's a lot of discussion about government and the impact of the economy on government, so I think you might find it interesting if you want to take a look at that later. But to talk a little bit about the Riverside County region, this is some information that we recently obtained regarding the current economic indicators for Riverside County. As you can see, the unemployment rate as of March 2011 is 14.1%. According to a recent report presented by the Southern California Association of Governments, the Inland Empire had a loss of nearly 169,000 jobs since the recession began, representing a 14% decline since 2007. Beacon Economics does not expect the Inland Empire's housing prices to show significant growth until 2012, and you can see we have average home prices on the second to last line, and it shows that there really hasn't been much of an increase in the price of housing in the region. Beacon Economics predicts that the region's unemployment rate will not get back to 8% until 2015. Just to give you an idea of what the norm is, Riverside County's unemployment rate was 6.6% in December of 2007, and as I mentioned, now it's at 14.1%. The national average currently for unemployment is between 9 and 10%, so Riverside County has been hit pretty hard. Within the Inland Empire regions, the primary industries are trade, transportation, utilities, government, education, and health services. So what's happening is not just a recession, but it's a shift. 70% of all jobs created in the U.S. since 1998, so this has been happening for a while, are considered tacit jobs now, requiring skills including data analysis, problem solving, relationship building, good judgment, collaboration, and with that, higher level of education. You can see the proof is in the numbers. Slow economic recovery may be related to the growth or the shift in tacit jobs. People with high school diplomas are having a much more difficult time finding a job right now, and you can see on the right of this chart as of January 2011, people with high school diplomas or less are anywhere between 9 and 15% unemployment rate. People with bachelor's degrees typically have a job right now. There's a 4% unemployment rate for people who are educated with bachelor's degrees. So what's happening in the Inland Empire region? We're seeing a shift in the local economy. There's the Inland Empire region of the Workforce Investment Board, along with its partners, decided to focus on creating favorable conditions for two industry clusters that include supply chain and value chain industries. Renewable energy and recession-resistant categories, namely healthcare and professional business services, are the focus of this region. So far, healthcare has added 48,000 jobs to the region since 1990, and the new March Life Care campus will add another 7,000 permanent jobs to the area. Typically, the average wage in healthcare is $47,000. When you look at renewable energy, and that's really related to any energy resource that's naturally regenerated over a short time scale and derived directly from the sun. We see that there's a growth of those industries in this region, and it's added almost 6,000 jobs to the Inland Empire since 1990. Some of the examples of these companies include Kramer Junction Solar Farms, Phoenix Motor Cars, Electric Farm, Palm Springs Wind Farms, etc. There's also what they call a Green Valley Initiative. I encourage you to look up. It talks about some of the academic institutions in the region, how they're joining forces with business to support the growth of these industries. The third prediction is that economic recovery will happen first in the private sector, leading to competition for the most experienced and educated employees. We can already see that private sector employment is adding jobs. As of March 2011, manufacturers added 25,000 workers, making industry's seventh consecutive month of gains. Service-providing firms increased payrolls by 138,000 jobs. Construction companies added 9,000 jobs. This is national statistics. So if the private sector is bouncing back quicker than the public sector, that could have an impact on our ability to recruit the best and brightest for government. The second shift that we're seeing is a demographic shift. By 2020, changes in the U.S. workforce will require a new approach to leadership. We think that Riverside County will lose employees on an unprecedented scale due to retirements and better opportunities with other employers, and I mentioned that previously when we said there's some growth happening in the private sector. If you look at, this is some of our internal data, anticipated retirements for the next 5 years. The average is about 364 annually, individuals who retire with the county. Last year, because of the Golden Handshake, we lost about 760 individuals. Those who are eligible for retirement in the next 5 years, you can see anyone who is 5 years of service and 50 above. There's about 3,796 people eligible for 2011, 4,621 if they don't retire that year for 2012, and so on. It just increases to about 7,085 in the next 5 years who will be eligible to retire. That's about 35% of our workforce. If you look at it from the perspective of how this plays out by department, this just kind of gives you a snapshot of which departments will be impacted the most. Of course, it doesn't compare to department size, so while DPSS has the largest amount of potential employees ready to retire, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have as significant of an impact because I think they have several thousand employees, but they will see less than 600 people retire within the next 5 years, or at least eligible for retirement. And of course, we're able to obtain more detailed information if any of the departments request that from us.